Good morning and welcome everyone. My name is Mike King with the Ohio Pork Council. In my job, I have the honor of working with and on behalf of Ohio's pig farmers, and like the one we'll be visiting shortly here with soon. And I get to help them in their mission to produce safe, affordable, nutritious, and sustainable pork products by doing what they do best. And that's taking great care of pigs, people, and our planet. We're so glad that you have joined us today for a live virtual tour of a pig farm with Farmer Veronica, where she will show how she cares for pigs every day while also working to protect the environment. Before we go out to the farm, I would like to take care of a few housekeeping items so you will know how to interact with us today. First, we want to make today's event as engaging and as interactive as possible and encourage you to submit your questions to Ask Our Farmer. If you're joining us via Zoom, we invite you to submit your questions to us at any time throughout the trip by clicking the Q&A button found at the bottom of your Zoom window. We will try to have our farmer answer as many questions as possible during today's event. We're also live streaming this trip on YouTube. If you happen to be watching us over there, please note that the live chat function has been turned off to allow the video to stream without restrictions on school devices. So you can just sit back and enjoy the program. With that said, let's introduce our farmer and get this trip rolling. Today, we have the pleasure of connecting live with Farmer Veronica from a pig farm in Ohio. We look forward to learning about all the ways Farmer Veronica and her colleagues care for the pigs. Good morning, Veronica. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself, the farm where you work, and what you do there every day?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Veronica. I work currently in a nursery farm. I'm originally from Chicago, so completely city background. Found my love of pigs about in high school, and then I continued my education at Michigan State, where I got a bachelor's in animal science and then a master's in swine nutrition. So I have a little bit of different kind of background, but that still hasn't stopped me from enjoying being a pig farmer. So currently at this nursery, I care for little baby, not babies, but little pigs who are about 40 days total in age. They've been with us for about 3 weeks. So here they just grow out until their next stage of life. Which is then called a finisher. So right now we're in a nursery, and then they move on and kind of graduate, and they go to a finisher where they then become market weight. So it's my job and responsibility to come in every day, even weekends. Someone is here all the time, and make sure that all of our pigs are happy and healthy, that they have food and water, that the ventilation in our rooms and heats are all okay. Really cool thing about pig farming is the technology that goes into keeping everybody happy and healthy. So this first bit that's really important is their feed. So we have feed running through a system. So everything's controlled through a feed system. And in their feeder, they have this kind of mashed up corn and soy diet. So this is always what we're checking on when we come in to make sure that this feeder is completely full. They have free access all the time to food and water. So this should never be empty, and it's always available to them. And then their water is also always available, and they just go ahead and get access by clicking that little nozzle down there, and it comes right out. And it's all piped through the barn, so everybody has access. The next bit, especially technology, especially in this winter time, is our heaters. So we have little sensors in every room that tells us what the temperature is So it reads this little sensor, and then we have 2 heaters. So that one in the back, and then we have another heater in the front. And when the temperature reaches a certain point, those heaters will kick on and heat up the barn so that these guys are staying at their optimal temperature. So at this age, we want them to stay in a high 70s environment. Obviously in Ohio, we have a nice cold snap coming through. So our heaters are working pretty hard this time of year. Another thing that we do to kind of help keep the temperature regulated is we will cover up some of our fans so that we don't have a lot of cold air coming through. So that kind of helps again with regulating the temperature. And say it gets a little too warm in here, we have these up top, they're called inlets, and they can kind of push some colder air through to keep the barn and per room really regulated at a certain temperature. So just to reiterate, we want these guys at about a high 70 for their current age. Now, when they first came in, it was about 82 degrees. So as they grow, we lessen the temperature. And that's kind of the basics of what I do when I first come in. And from there, we'll walk all of these pens and look at every pig and make sure that everyone is happy and healthy. So in this pen, we can see everybody's up, they're running around, they're having a great time. So everyone right now is doing great. And let's see if there's any questions then.
So we do have one question for you, Veronica, and it comes from Renee. And she's asking, how often do you have to clean the area that the pigs are in?
So the really cool thing about being in the indoor environment is we don't have to actually go in and clean out these corners every day. So you can see the floor here is slatted. So there's holes in the floor that allow their poop and their urine to just fall straight down into a pit. So that pit will then collect all of their manure and urine. And then we have somebody come and take that manure, and they will then use that to spread on the fields where we grow the corn and soy to actually feed these guys. So it's a well-sustainable system.
So another question that came up was, Veronica, how did you get into your career there at the pig farm?
So I got into pig farming just by being interested in pigs. I got a couple of show pigs just as kind of like a project. And I just really enjoyed working with them. And so I kind of followed that throughout. And in college, I took a couple classes about specifically pig management. And that again further intrigued me. So I just kept on the path of following what interested me, and the pig farming community really embraces people who are interested and wants to do good and make all the pigs happy and healthy in the world. So I just fell into it just by liking pigs.
So another question that came up, how do you work or do you work with a veterinarian to keep the pigs healthy?
Yes, we do work with a veterinarian. So we have a vet that will come out about 4 times a year, and they will walk through our barn and take a look at all of our pigs and see if they spot any type of health challenges that we might be having, recommend medications that could help target specific health challenges. They're also available to us just by an email or a phone call. And so if we have something that we're seeing out in the barn health-wise that we're not quite sure what's happening, we can give them a call, send them some pictures and say, hey, this is what we're seeing. Can you help figure out what's going on with our pigs? In terms of caring for and treating, that is all our responsibility. So we don't have vets coming out and giving our pigs injections all the time for medications. That's all what we do. So we are responsible for medicating and taking care of these guys. Pigs are really cool that you can have a medication that you run through the water. So sometimes it's just as simple as creating like a solution that we can run through water lines, and then that way we don't have to actually individually treat every single pig. But there are some pigs who need actual individual care and treatment, and we will do that for them as well.
Great. Another question that just came in. This one is from Stephanie. Do you have just white pigs, or do you have other kinds as well?
We only have these colored pigs. Our current breed is a York Landrace cross. We have not had anything different coming genetic wise into our breeds. So we don't have any other colors. It is just these guys.
And Terry asked, where did the pigs come from before you got them?
So these guys came from a sow farm or a farrowing farm. And that is a farm where all of the moms are at. And then the moms will give birth to these guys, which is called farrowing in pigs. And they will have about 12 to 13 per litter. And they can weigh anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds when they're first born. So these guys would stay with their mom for about 20, 21 days. And then they come and they live with us for about another 40 days. So right now, these guys have been with us for that halfway mark in our specific barn, but in total, they are about 40 days.
So as a follow-up to that, Veronica, excuse me, Heidi asked, how big are these pigs that we're seeing right now, and how big will they get?
So these guys are probably about 30 pounds. They pack pretty tight. They've got these big round bellies. Even though some of them might be shorter than others, they still weigh quite a bit. And then we will keep them until they're about 60 pounds. So they've still got some time here with us. And then when they leave, they are then kind of considered the term feeder pigs. So they, as they graduate, they go to a different stage and then grow to become market pigs.
Another question asked, are there boy and girl pigs, and are those treated differently?
We do have boy and girl pigs. So in our specific barn, the way that we house them is based on boys and girls. So this pen that you're looking at, we have a gilt pen, and the gilt pen are all of our even pens. So this is how we identify each pen, is by a little number and a tag here. And so each row has a specific letter, and this is C. So this is pen 6, and our barrows would then be in 5. So we keep them boys and girls separated.
So Renee asked a good observational question. These pigs don't seem to have ear tags. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, so as an industry, we've kind of come away from tagging pigs. However, we do have ear notches. So that ear notch is just a little chunk of the air taken out when they were born. And let's see if I can find any. That ear notch identifies what sow farm that they came from. So these guys, a lot of them look like they all came from the same farm because they don't have an ear notch. So that's one form of identification. This guy here with a real floppy ear, I think he's got one right in that corner. That guy has one right there. So that is just identifying what actual farm they came from. In terms of individual identification, their pen number becomes their identification. And then if we need to further identify, let's see if I can find one. Say we needed to give a medication to a pig. You see there's a blue dot on this guy. So that's how we'll find him to know what pig might need an individual, either just observation or actual medication. Just kind of keep all of our records straight. These pigs become their pen identity.
So teacher Morales, in her class, she got a question. What is meant by the term market pig?
Market pig means a pig that is ready to go to the actual market. So where you guys will pick up your bacon or pork chops or your sausage. So they have reached full grown weight, which is about 280 pounds. And then they go to the processing plant and then they go to your refrigerator at some point.
So back on the front end of the pig's life, Jean was asking, how long do the pigs stay with their mom when they're able to milk?
So piglets will stay with their mom or a sow for 20 to 21 days. And then mom goes back into the herd. So she joins back with all of her other lady friends. And then the little guys who you're looking at now will come to us by a truck. So those pigs will load a truck and take a little car ride down the road or wherever they might journey to. And they come to us. And then they will stay here for the remaining, like I said, about 40 days with us. And then they'll go to another site. So there's a lot of traveling and movement in the pig industry. Another term can be used as pig flow. So we have a lot of flow and movement, and not everything is done at one site, start to finish.
Can you explain more about what the pigs are eating?
Yeah. So I'll show you guys our feeder again. And this is a corn and soy diet. So you can see these little flecks of corn that are in here. And that's the predominant ingredient in the pig diet is corn, and then soy as a supplement to kind of help bring up our protein. So when you guys eat, say, your pork chops or your sausage, that's protein. And so for pigs, they will eat corn and soy to help nourish and grow and put on that muscle.
And Farmer Veronica, does their nutrition, does their diet change over time?
So in our certain production, we mainly use corn and soy from start to finish. So when they're younger, they'll have a little bit more of a complex diet to kind of make sure they're getting all of their ingredients. And it actually comes in a pelleted form. So instead of this ground up, it's just like a little pellet. And they'll stay on that for a couple days. Then they transition over to what we call like a mash or this ground ground diet, and they'll stay on this texture of a diet basically for their whole life. And they do have different varying ingredient inclusion. So the older they get, the less they'll need to actually put on their muscles and, grow efficiently. But at this stage in age, we want to make sure that they are getting all of the proper minerals and vitamins. So everything that we need to grow healthy and strong, they also need. And it comes just at different levels, but it's all still there the older they get.
So Heidi asked, how many piglets are typically born in a litter?
So a sow can farrow about 12 to 13 piglets at one time. A really cool thing about pigs and their reproductive tract is they have 2 horns. And so you can fit, that's why you can fit so many pigs inside a sow. And that's how she has so many, is because there's 2 spaces for her to just grow all of these little guys. So, they all fit in there and they all have a great time. And then they come out and they join us and it's an even better time.
So Terry asked, do the pigs' tails, are they curlier when they're born? And if so, why?
Pigtails are very curly when they're born. I don't know why. I don't know what happens that makes them so curly. However, a pig industry practice is to dock the tail. So you can see like this guy over in the corner, he kind of has a little tiny tail. There's 2 tiny little tails there. And that's to help reduce, any biting. As you can see, these guys mess with each other quite a bit while in these pens, and they chew on the ears, like you can see over here. This guy's chewing on an ear. The other guy's saying, please stop. So we dock their tails to help reduce the things that these pigs can chew on. And that's why they're not curly now.
What do the pigs drink? Is it only water?
It is only water. Yep. We have a well that we get our water from, and they'll drink that. As I kind of touched on earlier, we can run a medication through there if needed. However, most of the time, it's just water.
So Janelle asked, are some pigs born just extra small?
There are some pigs born just smaller than the rest. I'm sure you've heard the term runt or runt of the litter. Pigs have the same thing because there are so many in one litter. There's generally tends to be one smaller guy than the rest, and there might be one bigger guy than all the rest. It's hard to kind of predict that variability, but there are just some smaller guys than the rest.
So a question we had earlier before we got started this morning was, what kind of other jobs and careers are available in the pork industry, Veronica?
Yeah, so there are a ton of careers in the pig industry. So like I mentioned, transportation. So driving a truck, if that's something you're interested in. If you want to spend time actually in the barn, there's plenty of opportunities for that. I enjoy being in the barn and working with my pigs every day. So that's where I landed. If you're interested in finances, there's accounting and financial everything. If you're into, say, the human side of pigs, there's an HR and human, just kind of human development, empowering type of options. So there are so many different options. If you're more into the mechanic side, we have a full maintenance team that comes out and helps us with taking care of, our actual barn itself. Your possibilities are endless in the pig world.
So, a follow-up question on the health of the pig. Mrs. Shaning's class wants to know, what do you do if one of the pigs gets sick?
So what we do if a pig gets sick is it goes back to our first step is to identify that pig. So I'll see if I can find him again. Earlier, I showed you a pig with a little blue dot on him. So that's just an identification of, hey, let's watch this guy. You know, maybe he'll need a treatment. And then the guy next to him has some faded lines. But that is to indicate that this pig was treated. So, you know, after they've been identified, we'll give them an injection with whichever medication we see he needs. So if there's different medications for different reasons, and then he'll earn a stripe and a line across his back to indicate a single day of treatment. And then we will follow and track that pig for the next 3 days and continue to give him treatment as needed. And usually by that third day, you know, this guy's all better now. He's got a big belly on him. He's running around. He's having a fun time. So he is considered treated and recovered.
Matrice asks, does a pig hoof require special care?
Does a pig hoof require special care?
Right.
A pig hoof does not require special care. Most of the time we do not trim their hooves. So like I know goats and sheep are, you know, some of the more common animals that need their hoof trimmed. These guys do not. So they are pretty self-maintenance.
Stephanie asked, if a pig were not to go to market, do you know how old or how big they might get?
If a pig was not to go to market, so we have sows who can reach, which is a very older pig. So sometimes you can have a couple year old pigs, and a sow can get to be about 600 pounds. A boar who also can stay around for anywhere from 3 to 5 years can get into the 900 pounds. So they can get quite large in terms of weight. In terms of how actually long they are, well, I have figured they are about 5.5, 4.5, 5 feet. So these guys can get really big if they're just hanging around. So before you ask mom and dad, can I have a pet pig? You might want to reconsider if you have the space.
Well, Farmer Veronica, this has been fantastic this morning. It seems like we've quickly reached the end of our scheduled amount of time for the tour. So we just want to thank you again, everyone virtually, for connecting with us today. We certainly appreciate it, and we look forward to connecting again sometime very soon. As we wrap up, I want to let everyone know there will be a post-tour survey open in the browser upon the conclusion of the tour, and in a follow-up email you'll receive in 24 hours. We would greatly appreciate you taking a moment to complete that survey to help us evaluate our trips. On behalf of the Ohio Pork Council and Ohio's pig farming families, Farmer Veronica, and our technical producer, Dan Tolan, we thank you again for joining us. Please have a safe and happy week, and we hope to see you again in the future on a virtual field trip. Have a great day.